I'm live. It's been so long. How are you all doing? It's Jen Hart. In case you don't know me, I'm an empowerment mindset coach, life coach, intuitive, light worker, um, former social worker, all the things. How are you? Today, I wanted to talk about how do you manage your personal energy when there's chaos. It doesn't have to be as much chaos as what we're going through now, but this is, hi Dorothy, how are you? I don't know how to, I waved, I think. How do you manage your energy during chaos? Meaning I'm going to give you some tools to help you bring in energy from the external forces and being able to let go of things that are negative as fast as you possibly can so you can maintain your personal energy field so you can stay positive. It's not just staying positive, it's just having faith that good always prevails over the not good. And it's hard to do that in any situation, but we're living in very extreme times at this present moment. And I teach people these tools on a daily basis in my coaching. And I figured I should hop on Instagram because I think everybody needs to learn skills to hold their own energy. And that's a practice using emotional regulation skills, energy techniques where you're pulling and moving energy, transmuting energy, and deciding what your particular future is going to be, no matter what external circumstances are going on. No matter if you lose a job, gain a job, have positive people in your life, if you have negative people in your life, if you see our current particular government. I'm in the US, so I'm not going to go into great detail because I don't, part of creating a life you want, and it's not ignoring things because things are brought up in any situation, whether it's emotion in your own body, whether it's pain, whether it's suffering, has something to teach us, to tell us something. And when we have that information, it's how we use that information to empower ourselves, empower others. If you're not here to empower your fellow man or yourself, this might not be the place you want to hang out. I'm not into necessarily calling people negative things. Hey Jay! But sometimes you have to have humor. And that's a very important energy tool to reduce the amount of stress you have in your system and call back more positive energy into your system. So one technique to reduce your overwhelm and the cacophony of everything going on is legitimately grounding yourself in, like, closing your eyes if you choose. You don't have to close your eyes, but I like to do it. I close my eyes. I imagine a white light, golden, anything of something that feels good. Something feels loving, expansive. So you use this energy. You can start from the top and you go all the way down into the ground through your legs and back up again and back down. And then you can say to yourself any specific type of mantra, but I usually say, I'm enveloped by the white light of God's love and divine protection. Now, if you don't believe in the word God, you can use anything that makes you feel better. The whole point is to feel that you are enveloped by something that is loving and powerful. I usually say I'm enveloped by the white light of God's love and divine protection, and sometimes I'll change the ending with not just protection but healing, especially if I need some healing, or abundance if I'm looking to increase that, peace, any type of words that make you feel better, you use them. That's what we do when we're empowered. We do things that empower us instead of disempower us. So in terms of creating the world that you want to live in. You actually can't buy into the darkness that continues to permeate media. It's not to say that it's non-existent. It exists. But the more you give attention to something, it grows. Whether it's pain, suffering, joy, laughter. Like, I'm not saying ignore the things. I'm saying you have to have enough energy in your own system to be able to do the things that are required of you for your own soul's growth, for your own soul journey, to make sure that we are in a loving country and loving world. If love isn't your bag, then peace out. There are other people that do the dark arts. I'm for the light arts. We're not, there's no, whatever. Everybody's got their thing. So in terms of energy and managing your own energy field and managing your own emotions is literally taking care of yourself, caring how you feel, caring enough to turn off things that are not serving you. And there are times and places to give yourself the space to feel negative, to feel dark. I know, like 3 days, I was really in a deeper, denser energy field. Because I was not, I was being led and manipulated, because that's what this energy does. Energy can be used by people in the media, or not in the media, by politicians. Honestly, by anybody in your life. It's not just people that are in public things, but that's currently what's going on. It's manipulation to stress your nervous system, to derail your ability to hold your own energy. And most people, because I work with people regularly, like I was in social work and now as a life coach, people inherently give up their power regularly to worry. And this is just in general, not like now, like family dynamics that are toxic or not healthy, to positions of authority in terms of work or coworkers. People give their energy away by allowing that cacophony to live in your own brain. And I say, if they are not paying rent, whether it's your negative thoughts, your self-criticism, or the worry and anxiety and angst and upset, they don't deserve to live in your mind not paying rent. And I guarantee the space inside your mind, as well as your body, for holding your own energy, could be used a lot better if you refocus on yourself, and not in a selfish way where you're not giving a shit about other people, because that's part of the reason why we're in this mess. But to hold your energy strong enough, so when you go into a situation where there is energy, you are the dominant energy, the love, the positivity, the knowing that you have the say of the situation, you have the say of the room. You can tell when somebody is not confident in what they're saying or what they're doing by how their energy is reading. Now, and you probably know this intuitively, you just might not practice it that often, or you're not calling it out. And I'd suggest practicing calling out. That person seems uneasy. I wonder what they're uneasy about. Could it be just anxiety, like social anxiety? Could it be they're not telling some truth? Could it be, it could be a lot of different things. So just kind of like practice. What is this energy that you're reading? And most of the time, especially in the external world that we're living in terms of globally, is that there's a lot of cacophony, because if you're distracted, that's why TV and movies and stuff like that, they have their place. But most people, and the internet and these apps, which I'm guilty of 1,000% as well when I don't manage my own energy, is that it literally sucks energy from you because you're not giving to yourself. Now, sometimes if you're watching like The Big Bang Theory, that can be giving to yourself. But if you're watching 12 fucking hours of it every day, that's not giving to yourself. That's actually dissociation, distraction, which has its place, but not in a time like this where you need as much power to stay the course and to know that we have a lot of things to do. And it's not just to fight a fascist regime. It's legitimately, hey Cassandra, it's literally to hold your own energy so you are strong enough to battle your personal battles and love yourself through them and be strong and be empowered, be in your own respect, and take care of your energy so you have more to give, more to love, more of everything. So when you are, I'm just trying to call in what I'm supposed to be saying, in terms of managing your own energy during chaos, is that holding your own vision for what you want. So if you want peace, if you want stability, you actually have to envision that in your own life as well as the external world. Like, if you're going to work and you have a coworker or a boss, let's say a boss because it's easier to manage or to think about. Like, if you have a boss and that boss is a tyrant, and that boss, if you have a little bit of control to manage how they are projecting by how you operate, the more strong and centered and knowing that you are holding your own positive energy, that you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of the things you need to do for your own protection, spiritually, energetically, physically, financially, then it's a lot easier to be like, I see him as calm, centered, loving. Now, it's very hard to see that if that person has not demonstrated that much or at all. But that doesn't mean it's not possible. It's because we live in a world where how we perceive something creates some of it. It's a quantum theory that what you look at and how you look at it changes the state of the thing. If you're going to have a more positive, healthy, happy life, you have to focus on those things more and give less attention, less power, less buying into or adopting the assumptions that we're all doomed. We're in a crisis. There's some stress going on. There's a lot of dynamics at play, but we're not doomed. We're only doomed if we give up, if we don't hold our own energy, if we go down the primrose path of darkness. Like, it's go time. It's go time to know what you're made of. And you're made of brilliant, divine stuff. And that divine stuff can create miracles. And that miracle could be art. A miracle can be creating life. Like, legitimately. Like, just having children. It could be going to work and smiling at somebody. It legitimately is creation. Anytime you create a thought and you produce it, it's going out. It's a form of energy, as are your emotions. That's how you kind of can tell where you're at emotionally. If you're completely like spent, like I guess yesterday, I was very exhausted. And there's physical things going on, but mostly it's energetic things. And I had a 2-hour nap and I was renewed. Now, naps are a great way to stop the momentum of energy, at least temporarily, because you can pick it up exactly where you left off when you woke up, or you could change your state. This is kind of coming from Abraham Hicks. Stuff is like legitimately, you stop the momentum of whatever thoughts and feelings that you're having when you go to sleep. And then you pick up if you choose, and it's your conscious choice whether or not to go down the positive path or negative path or neutral path. Like, there's a neutral. It's nothing's wrong with either or any. So practicing when you wake up in the morning that good things are occurring. I'm going to read something, is that in every state of potential, all potential realities exist at the same time. So that means the most positive can happen, the most negative can happen, and all the options in between. And that's a hard sell for people that live in a particular world that don't think like this, that don't have that experienced yet in their own world or haven't studied or whatever, that you're choosing the next reality. You're choosing the next process of your moment. I'm not talking about the whole world, but like it will eventually like reverberate like a domino. Oh, I gotta close the door. Hold on a sec. Ooh. Hold on. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. All right. Hold on. Anyway. So how do we hold your energy? Well, first of all is focusing on what's good for you. Focus on when you wake up. This is the easiest time to start shifting your reality points and what you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. It's also having some practice of self-control. And I hate the word control, but it is a practice of, if something is going to derail you, and you already know certain things that will, don't do that first thing in the morning. You can do it later. You could do it in the evening if you choose to. There's, I don't think it's appropriate to be misinformed or no informed, but also living in the state of the reality that you want might precede having minimal awareness of things that are triggering. And I want to be balanced at this, because it's not like ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away. It's like, from global example, racism has always been here. It's just much, much louder right now because somebody gives it power who some people find very powerful. I don't find this person very powerful, but they do have some charisma, which makes the manipulation of other people's emotions expand. What if you were that person in your own life for positive things? You're obviously not a racist, or if you are, hopefully you're cleaning that up and realizing that that's not useful, nor productive, and nor healthy, and not something that you should accept of yourself. And I'm a person that accepts everybody. So it's more about, if you're choosing to live a life of fullness instead of lack, instead of doom, instead of crazy town, it's not that you can ignore something and it will go away, but how much power and energy are you giving it to? I use the racism is that you can see when it's happening in front of you to another person. And I'm sure you have in your world. If you're completely dense, then you have a lot more stuff to work on. Then you don't see some things that are obvious. And at the same time, you choose the next pattern. You choose the next... I'm not sure if I'm explaining this correctly, but you can't ignore a problem for it to go away, but you can't empower it either. So you have to learn techniques to disempower it. And there are a lot of techniques. And hi, welcome aboard. I've got lost because I have ADHD. And I forgot my notes because they're on my phone, and I only have one phone. So what are you giving power to? What are you assigning more of your energy, your mental, emotional energy to? And how can you shift more of it in teeny tiny increments? If you're not ready to give up 12 hours of TV watching, how about you take an hour just for not doing that? How do you give yourself some energy by exercising? How do you move your body to create energy? Are you creative? Are you using journaling? Are you doing things that give to yourself or others? Or if you feel a call to help a neighbor, are you following that call? Are you following that intuition? Because that's where energy is also leaking as well. You can leak energy through things that you haven't done yet, like a to-do list a mile long. And some of that stuff is important, and some of it isn't. And can you delete some of those things? Can you declutter? And decluttering is a great energy tool, because you're also, I like the idea of decluttering your mind, because that's part of what I do, but also with the energy of negativity that you might have just inherently by being self-critical or highly judgmental, or there's a number of factors that will increase the negativity that is showing up in your world, and it comes from the mind. And then there are also comes from the body. Are you taking care of your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your financial health? Like, these are questions to ask yourself. And sometimes we feel like we don't have the luxury to take what's the word? Like an inventory. Taking an inventory of the things, because then you can decide what things stay or go in your energy, because all of this is personal choice. The hardest part is that sometimes we feel like we do not have choice. And I understand, because I used to be a self-harmer. And really, that 10th of a second before you're doing something that is not productive or healthy, that 10th of a second exists. And you have to make space for that existence to say, I'm choosing another path. I'm choosing to love myself. I'm choosing to take care of myself. I'm choosing to love another person. If I was going to say some vitriol, now depending on the context, sometimes it's important to have some power and energy and anger and gusto behind your words. But usually to yourself, it's not really helpful, because most and almost all humans do not move or love themselves by shame. Most people, and I'm saying relatively healthy individuals, not extreme personality disordered people, but most individuals do not move their own life through shame. But yet we shame ourselves all the time by not being this or that. So, I'm getting distracted. And not by anything really. And that's practice too. So when you have a brain like mine, it does take a lot to corral all of the tabs that are in here and go, nope, that's not a tab I need right now. Nope. And practicing that energy of, what do you want? I want a peaceful world. I want a world where I feel safe. I want a world where everyone feels safe. I want a world, not just a world, I want my day-to-day to feel happy, joyful, creative, solution-oriented. There's always solution to every problem in the universe. We might not know what it is, because we are cluttered with a negative, self-criticism. We might be filled with a whole bunch of negativity from like family or friends, or what's going on like in the world. And it's important to be informed, but give yourself chunks. Do not spend 12 hours listening to things that make you doubt or have less faith in what we can create in the world. As somebody who has understood energy since I was a child, reading energy of other people is probably easier for me than most, because it's something that I needed in order to survive as a child. But it's also helpful for you to know that when you're getting stuck or you have a leak, you might want support, and I'm here if you need. In terms of being able to understand where there is an energy that is, you already know you probably have one right now in your life where you're basically kind of like on a spin. It could be about what's going on, or it could literally be like your husband's pissing you off. It doesn't really matter. Once you have that thing that you want to shift your focus, you have to shift it to something that gives you more energy, more power. So, and it doesn't even have to be that big, and it doesn't have to be like a stretch. Like if you're feeling broke, or if you're feeling in lack, hi Wen, if you're feeling in lack, you don't focus on that. You focus on the solutions to feeling abundant. And sometimes it legitimately is feeling that I am powerful. We are doing this. I'm making this. It's a declaration. It's a standard to know, hi, that whatever we're working on in terms of our energetic field is that we have that conscious power. That's true for what's going on in the world. We have power to make sure that this craziness doesn't last forever. It came up for a reason. It needs to be clear. There's all this bullshit about people being ass, like they are asses. Like, we know this. Good humans know when bad people are in trying to do things. But we have more power. We have not just numbers of people who we have to take care of our own energy, so we're not distracted by all of the negative things. And we have negative things just on a one-on-one basis. If we allow ourselves, our own mind can do that by saying we're not good enough, we're too fat, we're too this, whatever the brain is doing, that's a distraction. Media and energy externally is a distraction from your own personal power. Your personal power comes from self-care, and that self-care isn't necessarily taking a massage. That self-care is basically saying, I care how I feel, and managing the way I feel, being emotionally regulated as much as possible. It's okay, you're not supposed to be perfect, but as much as possible to hold my energy when there's something crazy going on in front of me, and let out any emotions that are stirring, but with a timetable. Do not spend 70 hours. Give yourself breathing rooms, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, half an hour max to kind of purge what you're feeling. And there's nothing wrong with the feelings, they're information, but the information may be incorrect, just like what's going on in the world. There's just too much information externally, energetically. If we just took off, if nobody had internet for like a day, people would freak out because they're just so used to immense amount of energy pouring in instead of we creating the energy from within. So it's time to start creating that energy from within, moving our body, eating well, taking care of our mind, focusing on what we desire, finding solutions to what we desire. Like, it is a practice to manage yourself during crises. For my brain, I'm very blessed. The more crisis area it is, my brain shores up and tunnel visions what I desire. Partially because that's a survival technique for a lot of people. And some people get derailed. And obviously there's a spectrum, because sometimes there have been times in my past where I was not able to hold my own power or energy. And this is the time where holding your own energy, and I mean that in the most compassionate way of saying, I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm powerful. Literally holding that energy and knowing it. There's no derailment. If somebody said that you were purple, you wouldn't be bothered by it. It's just, I'm purple. Thank you for noticing, or whatever. If somebody said something to you, you wouldn't be distracted by it. Similarly, we are manipulated by all these things because we're not sure in our own knowing yet. We can get there. You have to work on your own energy field first to protect yourself from, not just that, your mother might be insane. And if your mother's insane, if you've taken that in your whole life and you haven't set boundaries are this is part of the boundary conversation. Energy is boundaried in a healthy person. What you're giving and what you're receiving, it's a balance. And if it's not, then you reset that equation of boundaries. And if you don't have boundaries, well, you got a lot of work to do, because that'll help you tremendously feel more empowered and at peace, because you're not being swayed by the fucking wind or TV and I'm not saying that I'm 100% perfect, because this should be real, not just the actual events, but also the purpose of this manipulation to derail the brain, the frontal lobe, from being able to be concrete and be able to see a process forward. And they want people to be asleep. That's why TV and internet and all these things, like, they serve a purpose, but they also have a consequence to not being completely aware of your own feelings or thoughts or desires and projecting them out into what you want to create in your world. Most people, I don't believe, thought that they wanted fascism. But they allowed it in small ways over time. That's lack of boundaries. When we have lack of boundaries, people step on them, and then they do that for as long as they can until they can't. If you've never met a narcissist in your own life, you will understand. It takes a long time to realize, holy shit, this person didn't care about me. And when you awake to that, it takes a lot of healing to create that structure, be like, I can trust myself again. You can trust yourself. Sometimes you are put asleep by society, by TV, by your own negative thought patterns, by dissociation because you're traumatized. Like, these are not your fault per se, but you have the power to refocus and not get stuck in somebody else's story of how your world's going to be in the future. Right now, declare, I'm okay. And if you're not okay, like meaning you're having a freak out or you're doom scrolling or whatever your body is saying, if you're not okay, like, actually, like, I think you might be physically okay, like, you might not. Remember, I've dealt with people with panic disorders, I've dealt with people with CPTSD, you name it. So I understand the not okay, but technically, like, if we brass tacks it, are you breathing? Are you fed? Do you have a place to sleep? You have a phone or an internet connection? You have some water? Right now, your present moment, you are okay. Doesn't mean you're fabulous. You could be. I hope you are, because that means you have a lot more energy to combat anything that's trying to infiltrate and throw you off your game. And your game is to create the world you want, which is peace and love and none of this bullshit. Like, and if it's a smaller version of that, if you want more money, you want more resources, you want to feel connected to somebody, whether it's romantic or platonically, you want to be alive and feel alive. You have that power, but you have to give attention to it. It's almost like, well, you know this. Like, if you hang out with somebody and you're dating them and they don't give you attention, like in the beginning more so, and in the middle too, like if you have long-standing relationships, but let's say in the beginning, if somebody just calls you once a week, depending on your brain, if you have an anxious attached brain, you're kind of like hoping and like overanalyzing, and that's a lot of distraction in your brain from what you need to focus on, which is you and your life and what you want to create, and within a relationship or not. So one of those situations would be, you would say to yourself, if like, I'm happy, I'm whole, I'm lovable, I'm awesome, and if this person's the person, that person will come around, and if not, there's plenty others. And not getting stuck in that loop of like, why is this person not doing the thing that I expect them to? And like, that's the distraction. The distraction is getting off your own path of knowing that you're good enough, that you can have what you want in your life. And in dating, if you don't water the seed, the thing's not going to grow. And that's both ways, obviously. And that's a communal growth of a relationship. And if you're poly, probably more. But that would be too much for me. It's exhausting just having one. And in terms of friendship, it's similarly. Like, multiple people have to give what they have. And there's an acceptance piece, but there's also like, I want more of this. Can you do this? And there's a negotiation. And who's planting the seeds more and more and more and more. And if the seed is growing, then you know what you're doing is kind of working. If you feel like, say in a romantic long-term relationship, I have clients like this a lot sometimes, is that sometimes somebody holds a resentment, which is an energy leak or an energy pull or stickness, And there's a resentment because somebody didn't say something that they needed to in order to have their need met. And maybe the other person couldn't meet their need or didn't see that there was a need. But then that buildup happens over time because they're not clearing the space, decluttering the energy field for that resentment. And that resentment, if allowed to grow, because you're feeding it by either ignoring it, like I talked about, or feeding it with like those negative thoughts of like, this person never thinks about me. They never take out the garbage. They never think about what I need, or they're so lazy, or whatever the brain is saying in that particular moment, or they don't care about my feelings, or they're not considerate or whatnot. You can change those states by changing the way you feel. And some people would say, well, that's gaslighting. Well, it depends. It can be if this person doesn't shift after you have shifted your own energy and expectations. And then there's also the actual communication, the sharing of ideas. If you're not in a healthy relationship, to be able to say, you know what, I need more of this. Is it possible? Not in a begging scenario, but like, this is something I want. And there are negotiations based on what that thing is. And I would like to do this. And sometimes in a relationship, whether it's platonic or family or romantic or whatnot, sometimes it's easy from the get-go because you kind of are on the same vibe. And then there's something that happens in that connection where there's a miscommunication or an energy leak that hasn't been like personal energy or the dynamic of the relationship's energy. And if that energy isn't brought to light and like cultivated, it'll get stuck. And that's what I'm saying about all of this energy stuff, is like, if we focus on the wrong thing, it's not being, I don't want this to be a license to not care about your partner or not care about the world. It's literally, you have to manage your own energy. They say in therapy training, you have to take care of your side of the street first. And sometimes people are so freaking depleted that they don't have enough energy in their dynamics, whether it's work, whether it's school, whether it's, especially now, because everybody's so freaking like on a overwhelmed chaos. Like, it's utter chaos. I have no energy for anything. Well, what have you given to yourself yet? Have you done the basics? It doesn't even take that long to feed yourself something to eat. And it doesn't take that much to take a shower. And sometimes I know there is extenuating circumstances, but I'm just talking about normally mentally healthy, generally people, but people that are just kind of distracted. And in your relationships, even in your relationship with money, if you ignore it, the problem does not go away. If you ignore a resentment or a miscommunication or a hurt feeling, it doesn't mean you always have to talk about it. It depends on the context of what we're saying. Sometimes visioning the energy of this person talks to me well. This, like setting a boundary, is not always talking about, I'm setting a boundary. Your energy sets the boundary, and then you follow through if you have to with words. Because somebody knows that they can't fuck with you. They know it by your energy. And when they do, and they meet with the boundary, then they're like, oh, yeah, that's the boundary. The problem is that current things going on is that those people are very unboundaried and don't respect other people's boundaries, including the rule of law. And we have to work on our own energy boundaries so we can identify when there is a boundary break from somebody else or to us, and also when it's happening to another person and or the world. Boundaries are super important for energy management because it shows you matter, your energy matters, and other people matter. So if other people shouldn't be treated disrespectfully, which is absolutely, nobody should be treated like a piece of shit, that's an energy boundary that if that person, I worked in advocacy work, so if somebody can't advocate for themselves yet, they haven't learned the skills, or they're incapable for whatever reason of doing so, it's your job as an advocate or somebody who is loving, compassionate, and caring to help them build a boundary. An advocacy. Like, literally, like, this is a need, they need it. This is their need, this is a no, you can't treat them that way. There's a lot of people that do it 24/7, 7 days a week for other people, not for themselves. Those are overgivers. Those are people that are people pleasers that do it for the desire to control another person's feelings about them. Which means, like, I'm a people pleaser, and that means that I want you to think of me in the highest regard because I need your approval and validation. That's exhausting too. And then there are people that don't give a shit or give a little shits and either maintain their boundaries strongly. Some people maintain their boundaries strongly, and some people do not. And some people don't even know what a boundary is. And that's part of the energy dynamic of understanding when there's chaos, when there's confusion, how are you holding your own boundaries to what you desire, to what you want to feel like? Like, if I'm reading a news article, I can get enlivened and passionate because I'm an Aries person. I'm an Aries sun, Cancer moon, and Libra rising. I'm a very interesting girl with no earth in her chart. At least no major planets anyway. And that's probably why more woo. But just to say, I get passionate, but I don't stay angry for long because I channel and transmute that energy to something productive. Now, sometimes I don't, but majority of the time I use that passion to do something, to create some change if I can, to take care of my body. Go for a walk or run. I remember when I was super angry, I would run or I would lift weights. I mean, there were things I could do to transmute that energy into something, producing something that I would like. When we're all this anger, just reading and digesting it and not actually processing it and utilizing it to your benefit. There's an amazing book called Power versus Force, and it shows you a relative scale of lower vibrational energy to higher vibrational energy. So there's depression, sadness, anger, apathy, the whole line. And then it goes higher and higher and higher to love is one of the optimum, joy. They're more expansive. Now, when you're working on your own energy, meaning like you're not trying to be in chaos, you're shoring up your boundaries, which means you're taking care of how you feel, which means deleting and decluttering your mind and your physical space and maybe your financial space, maybe your spiritual space. I mean, not everybody's spiritual, but I think spiritual tools are fun and important, at least for me. Not religious. I'm not a religious person. But whatever works for you, you have to know yourself enough to say, nope, I know the energy that I'm creating now. I know the energy that I'm creating with this is that it's going to help at least one person. And if it doesn't, I'll try again tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Maintaining your energy and managing your energy is in your power. It's the few things in the world that you do have power over, even when you have brain differences, even when you have lots of manipulation and distractions and old thoughts or memories that are clogging up the vicinity. I think I'm going to say one last thing. Staying out of chaos does not mean being uninformed. Staying out of chaos means taking care of and boundarying your energy field so you are more loving and supportive of yourself and others. And honestly, it gives you more options to find solutions to all the world's problems, including your own. Like, if you are distracted 90% of the time, you have 90% less energy to create magic in your life. You know this. Hopefully this talk, if you ever watch it, will re-inspire you to plug into your own self and being like, okay, brass tacks, what do I want in my love life? What do I want in my day-to-day life? What do I want in my bank account? What do I want in the world? How do I want to interact with the world? Do I want to see a more peaceful world? Well, I'm going to look for evidence and literally look for evidence of good. If you're feeling down, what's the opposite? Somebody helping somebody else. Somebody being awesome at what they do. Somebody being absolutely creative. Like, that's why I love music. That's why I love art. That's why I love seeing people do good work. Like, when I was, especially in social work, when I would see somebody treating my client amazingly on the job, or seeing my client do that, or just like start noticing the things that you want to appreciate and grow. That's the whole point. Where your focus and attention goes, energy flows. If you want to stop the negative, and I eventually get there, clearly, eventually, if you want to stop the negative spiraling, if you want to stop bad shit from happening, you got to see it, be aware of it, and go, okay, how do I, in this very moment, within my own sphere of power, what can I do to change that if I don't like the thing? So if I don't like this man treating this Starbucks barista poorly, what is in my power and what am I called to do about it? I can distract. I can make a joke. There's a million ways. I could be irate to him. I could tell him off. I could say, you can't disrespect her like that, or him like that, or whatever. There are a million ways on how to handle that. I could call the manager. I could be Karen. Sorry for all the Karens out there who are not Karen. But that's the idea, is that appreciate what's more good in the world. Like, look around. There's legitimately so much good in the world, and we tend to fling, like, our attention to things that are bad. And that's natural. Our brains are wired this way to keep us safe. And the powers that be who want to manipulate that for their own things. Sometimes it's to sell you shit. Sometimes it's to sell you into a political organization. Sometimes it's to distract you from stealing or pillaging, or, just distract you so they as in anybody in your life, can do whatever they want where they're not considering you. That could be in a relationship. These are global things that kind of mesh together, like, legitimately. Your power is in your awareness of yourself in the present moment as much as possible, and projecting into what you want and having that energy to do that. So if you have that energy to do that, if you want more energy to do that, I have if you have like up to 3 questions and you wanted to ask me, I can send you a link to getting a energy reading to see whether or not I can support you over email. You would get an audio or text version of me giving you guidance around how you can refocus your energy, what you can delete or declutter in your mind or in your physical space, how do you change the dynamic so you're producing more positive energy. I give this example because it's one of my favorite examples, is that I had a client that had PTSD, extreme levels of anxiety, and because of this, she had a codependent / what was it called? Her family enabled her bad behavior, and it wasn't bad, like horrible bad, but like not productive to her becoming a person that could be sovereign on their own. So part of the things is, like, one of the homework was, you have to do your own shopping for this. You have to do your own laundry. You are moving the needle to your own power. You have to call the person instead of like her. And the family set this up and did this because they thought that was what she needed. And maybe she needed it for a day or a week, but it exacerbated her healing for about at least a year, if not more, because her anxiety ran the show, and that manipulated the parents, and not ill will. It's like the body and the person needs to feel safe. So they're doing whatever they can to feel safe. If the person doesn't have the skills yet to refocus that learning to feel safe and hold their own energy, they're going to use other people to do so. That's what this person, my client, did. And then we started just baby stepping by saying you're going to work 15 minutes or more, up to an hour, of something that gives you something, whether it's working out, whether it's photography, whatever you want to put your focus in. And it can't be anything for somebody else. And it can't be manipulative, like meaning like you're doing it to stick it to yourself. Like if you were exercising, you're like, I'm going to lose the 5 pounds or whatever. Like, has to be in terms of a pure energy of like, I'm giving to me because I deserve this, and I'm building stability to trust myself again. And it can be simple like exercise. I use exercise as an example because I've done that in my past, being able to utilize an external action to build trust with myself, to overcome my anxiety or depression or whatever the things that I was going through at the time. Movement is amazing. But with this particular client, it took only 16 to 20 hours of working with them for her to be able to work in public, have interviews, call on the phone. When I first met them, they literally could not call the pizza guy. There's no shame in that. It's just that's where the state of mind and lack of energy of holding their own energy and disempowering come in. When you feel disempowered, or you're feeling like scared or in lack, that is going to exacerbate if you don't look at it, redirect it to something that's giving you energy. It's basically giving yourself life force again. And sometimes it's also creating that energy. When you move your body, when you're creative. Creative doesn't have to be just art. Creative is just doing things that give you life. And it's the cycle. It will snowball into something freaking amazing in your life. And that's why I have this new thing I came up with today. I haven't done it in so long. I guess I did it a few years ago, but I was doing this in MySpace. That's how old I am. You might not be able to tell because I got a filter, but like, I'm a Gen Xer, and I used to be on MySpace, and I used to do readings. So if you would like an energy reading to help you get clarity and feel more at peace and more empowered, I have an email option besides my regular coaching. I have an email option. Like if you want to ask up to 3 questions in an email, you go on my Stan store, you'll see it. It's an energy reading. So I will give you advice and how to manage your energy and shift into something productive. And it will be in an audio and maybe written. I might transcribe, or I don't know how, or I'll do a little bit of combo. And you'll get that within 24 hours, if not sooner. Depending on, because I have clients tomorrow and whatnot. But so this is an opportunity for $33 to get my expertise, my intuitive guidance, and my empowerment coaching, my mindset coaching, in a very easy, digestible way, to ask me a question and for me to read your energy to help you feel more empowered, to feel less swayed by the wind of all this craziness. And I'd love to support you if this is something that you are considering or desired. And that's on my Stan store, and I will link it once this goes up and I figure out how to do that. Or I can add a comment. I don't know how to do that. It's like I've never done this before. Stan store / oh, okay. I think that's it. I gotta look on my... Hold on. Stan store. What's my Stan store? Oh, my Stan store is Jen Heart Be Awesome. I don't know why I didn't know this. Jen Heart Be Awesome. So you can take a look if you'd like. I know I'm long-winded. I was all over the place. It is what it is, because I did not write notes, and I apologize. I sincerely hope that when you wake up tomorrow morning, the first thing you do is say that I'm blessed, not stressed. I am lucky, I am blessed. I do not have to stress. If you don't like those words, you can use something else. It's literally getting yourself into the state of what you want. So if blessed isn't what you want to feel You want to feel energetic. You say that to yourself as you wake up. And I would suggest, if you are in a doom spiral, do not go on the internet immediately. Give yourself a few hours. If you want to be informed, you will hear about it. Trust me. You could have no internet, no access to anything, and somebody's going to tell you what's going on if you talk to other people. If you live at home and you're alone, it might be another story. But I hope that makes sense. I hope this was helpful, even if it was like all over. Thank you for watching, and I hope to talk to you soon. And if you want a reading, click below. Bye. Peace.